what's that saying? Soft times don't make hard men.
Right, exactly.
So a bit of hardship. Getting back and realizing that your socks have got a life of their own and you've got to put them on again the next day. That it's primal.
Welcome to the Wild Dispatch!
Hello and welcome to the Wild Dispatch. I'm Robin and I'm back with more skills and stories from the wild. Today's episode we have an incredible guest, a man who is both incredibly creative and eloquent and focused, motivated and driven towards his goal of setting up the biggest and most successful taxidermy business in South Africa, arguably probably the whole of the African continent. Doug Cockroft is his name, and Splitting Image is the company which he founded back in, I think, 2004. So it was amazing that he could take some time out of his busy schedule to chat about all things hunting, wilderness, conservation, and the art form of taxidermy. It also worked out pretty perfectly because I was just at the back end of a long 10-day hunt in the Eastern Cape of South Africa and was just about to make my way the 12 hours back over across home, the other side of the country, and thought that it would be rude to not drop in and say hello. First of all, see his amazing space, his huge team of people who are working on animals. And then also, it was a good chance for me to pick up a few skulls and hides that I had dropped off with him a little while ago. So it was really nice to see those in their final glory too. A huge thank you again to Doug. And also, I should probably say thank you to his team for setting up the entire studio in such an amazing space for us to record this episode. Right, I think that's enough waffling from me for now. Here's my conversation with Doug. We'll turn that one there. Okay, does that look about right? Do you want me to push this down a touch, or are you intentionally?
No, that's good. You can just aim it towards you a little
Just
bit
a
more.
note for the new podcast space. Everything on wheels.
Yeah, but well-oiled wheels.
Not a tweet, tweet, tweet.
Yeah. Oh, the squeaky chair is the worst.
That's good. We're ready.
Okay, roll.
Okay, ready.
Okay.
Wild Dispatch podcast take one.
Doug, welcome to the podcast.
Robin, thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for inviting me to this amazing space. I have to say, I walked through, this is the first time I've ever been here. Incredible. Like walking through this whole section, you see so many people. I think it's, someone explained to me it's where the pieces are finished. Is that right?
Yes, you walk through the finishing stages of the product, the animal.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, but also just there's a vision. You can see that everything is aesthetically considered,
Yes.
even in the process of how these things are made. So
It's the story. It's worth remembering.
no, it shows. Well, there you go. It shows. So I want to talk to you about a bunch of stuff. We'll see how much time we have today.
Cool.
But I think first of all, it's fun to give a little bit of context of where you came from, your connections with the wild. A little birdie told me that you were a PH at some point. Well, I'd love to hear about that. I bet you've got some stories in some capacity of getting out there. I mean, yeah, how did that all happen?
Disclaimer, firstly.
Yes.
I'm probably the worst PH that's ever graced the plains of South Africa.
Okay.
In that, to be a professional hunter, you have a very unique skill. You're able to take somebody else, guide them into a position where they have to make a critical decision.
Yeah.
And at that moment, you have to have the confidence to let go and know that they are comfortable, ready, and they can perform a hunting duty. I'll call it a duty. A hunting duty that is critical when looking at hunting as a respectful, conservation-driven heritage practice. So I was really bad at that.
What part was it that you struggled
I've
with?
hunted a lot
Yes.
and been brought up hunting.
Okay.
But I just lacked that instinct to take the client into that position. I could put myself there,
Okay.
but there is that X factor. It's the caffeine in the coffee. It's the X factor
Yes.
that I lacked as a professional hunter. And as such, the opportunity in taxidermy very much saved me. And I would say many unfortunate clients who would have been stuck with me.
Well, so then I'm curious. I wonder if any stories spring to mind in that time, if you don't mind delving with the poaching moments where you had that moment of frustration, or maybe your clients had that moment of frustration where things maybe didn't quite work out because those dots weren't connecting?
I think the frustration for me is I came from a guiding background.
Oh, you did?
So I guided before hunting
In what capacity?
as a photographic ecotourism guide,
Oh, okay.
and have been very privileged to have guided in a lot of areas. So in South Africa, guided in the private game reserve industry, which is a large industry in this country. Had the opportunity to work with other guides, train other guides, and learn underneath some tremendous men and women of the bush that understood wildlife. So I was very privileged to spend time around those people. I spent time in East Africa, in Kenya. I worked for BBC and spent time guiding in a camp where they were the photography unit filming Big Cat Diaries.
Okay.
So when we were out in the field and we spotted cats, we reported cats back in.
Yes.
These guys would come out and do these incredible shoots around these prides of lions. I spent time with a lot of these people.
What were some of the things that you learned from the people who maybe have like ancient knowledge that's come through in those areas, from the impression that I'm getting what you're saying?
I think the single point is you don't ever know it all.
Oh, yeah.
Forget it. With nature, with wildlife, I guarantee you, even in today's age with all the AI and all the cleverness out there, we still do not know everything or have a complete grasp of it.
Yeah.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Wildlife is truly something that evolves at a rate we can't keep up with. So we can't ever know everything. It's impossible. So the minute you can accept how insignificant you are compared to wildlife,
Yes.
suddenly you can respect it more. When you respect it more, the trickle-on effect, you're going to look after it so much more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's also how superior nature is to us, but
Yes.
also then for me, part of that transition of being far more connected with nature is realizing that we are animals.
Absolutely.
And that there isn't really that much of a distinction, much of a separation. The number of times now, being a bow hunter, forever trying to get closer and be in, for me, that magical bubble when you're, I mean, obviously in the kill zone, like in the area where you could make an ethical shot with a bow, but more and more these days, the thing that's most fun for me is spending as long as I can, probably at the cost of the success of some of those hunts,
In that bubble.
yeah, observing animals and really seeing their humanity, if that
100%.
makes sense. And I'm sure you must have experienced that being a photographer.
On the photography side, you do,
Yes.
because you're constantly waiting for that moment of light or that flash of movement, that shimmer of color, something like that, that
Yeah.
makes that shot pop. But what's more important is how much hunters do that.
Uh-huh.
Not just bow hunters, hunters in general. The knowledge that hunters carry of wildlife is unbelievable, because they've spent so much time in that bubble, observing. So to those who are, there's three kinds, in my opinion, three kinds of people where hunting is concerned. There's a hunter, there's a non-hunter, and there's an anti-hunter. Hunter, get it. Non-hunter is open to understanding
Yeah, different ideas.
different ideas. They're willing to explore that's rational, that I don't agree with. And you can agree and disagree in that space. An anti-hunter, I have found, is someone who has an opinion that is not going to change and often is not based on realistic statistics. Again, this is my opinion.
Of course.
Not to say there are not anti-hunters who have a valid point.
Yes.
But the overlying story is hunters understand wildlife because of being in that bubble. I love that phrase, in that bubble with animals. Photography, we share that bubble space. I've been down that road where you sit for hours watching one cat, one leopard, fast asleep. You're waiting for that moment that you can capture the essence of that animal.
Yeah, and it's amazing when you get that, right? And I mean, I'm a much more budget kind of photographer than you are, but in some ways there are times when capturing the shot feels just as good as taking a shot with a weapon. There's a sense of achievement, of course, and
absolutely,
it's just a different kind of
it's a different
discipline.
approach, different discipline, different approach.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very cool.
Okay, so
you asked me about, you go one back, hunting, and a time where, or an instance where I was maybe frustrated or underpowered for the position.
Okay.
I actually do remember one. It was quite amusing. I actually remember the client's name. His name was Bill.
okay.
All right.
Where's Bill from?
Bill from the US.
Okay.
Family originally from Greece.
Wow.
So
Okay.
it's a Greek surname, Greek surname, which I do remember. On his third last day of the safari, we'd had reasonable success on a 7-day hunt. Third last day, we were trying very hard to hunt a nyala,
Wow.
and the rain set in. And nyala loved that morning sunshine, which was non-existent. I was driving an Isuzu KB 2.4 diesel double cab bucky. It was my pride and joy, and probably one of the most useless vehicles you'll ever come across. And I just couldn't read the road, and I didn't have the experience in 4x4 driving, whatever the case was. And I went through a shadow pass in the middle of a very big area where there was no reception and no phones to reach out to, radios.
Yes.
And the vehicle just got into a permanent spin, and it wasn't going forwards, and it wasn't going backwards. And I can remember Bill getting more and more animated. And the more animated he got, the deeper stuck I got. Needless to say, it ended up with myself, the tracker and Skinner, the one chap who did both, and Bill traipsing through the mud and walking 3 hours back to camp with all of our gear and so on our shoulders. It was tense and comical.
But probably not at the time.
Yeah, it was a story. Needless to say, the vehicle stayed there for about 7 days while the mud dried up, because they couldn't get a
yes.
tractor or TLB close enough. It was just the one place that all the local guys knew, not being from that area and having local knowledge of that region where I was hunting. I was very much on the back foot. And my vehicle slept there for 7 days until we could get close enough. By then, Bill had left. We did
You did
end
get
up
it in Nyala?
getting a nyala, hunting a nyala. It was a good hunt, actually.
Okay.
I can remember that he was adamant that we would not give up, and I respected his tenacity in that. It was up early morning in the rain. We walked the rain. We did the whole 9 yards. That was a funny one. It was a humbling experience.
Which I think is important, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think you need to have those moments. And I think in a way that's what attracts me to, well, hunting in general, but also bow hunting for me. For some reason, I seem to be drawn to more and more primitive technology. Yes. I'm subshooting a recurve bow. And just a couple of days ago, I was very close to a warthog in Milliefield. And it was a pineapple. It was a pineapple plantation. And I just shot just over it. Like, you could barely see the pig, but, you know, it was just that opportunity. And it's moments that run back in your mind, right? Like, you're thinking, oh, what could I have done better? How could I have done that right? But it's like,
That's going to impact the next one.
exactly.
And that's the beauty of it. I often see it with professional hunters that come through the taxidermy studio. It's a remarkable thing to watch a guide walk through here and go, he'll look at an animal on the racks and go, I hunted that.
Yes.
And you're going, what? There's 25 other springbuck all around you. And you stop and say, I hunted that one.
Yeah, you know.
And you kind of look at him and go, well, I'll check. True as ducks. He hunted it. When I tell you that's happened often,
Yes.
it happens every week. The professional hunters have this, it's a photographic memory of that experience, and they attach it to the animal.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. It's burned.
It's
in your
burned
brain.
in. And it shows the level of respect that professional hunters have for their quarry, for the wildlife that they hunt.
Yes.
It is not a take. They're not taking out a wildlife. They're serving their role as animals in the ecosystem.
Yes.
They're there as custodians of that area. They are an A-type predator, and we're controlling our piece of the pie. We've
Yeah.
got a job to do.
Absolutely.
You know?
I think it's something that's become more and more clear to me. And I had a podcast interview with Dylan Love from PH Journals, who you know, and we talked about a little of the progress of, or the effectiveness of conservation in South Africa. But I mean, I had a quick look again at some of the numbers, but it's quite remarkable, the change. I don't know if you're familiar with how that happened.
It's huge.
Yeah, so, I mean, the numbers were very low, weren't they?
Yes.
And so now, I mean, I think I wrote it down
Ridiculously
here.
high.
I wrote it down here somewhere. It was under 300,000 animals, or antelope, I guess.
Correct.
And now 16 million
Million.
is apparently the number. So what was the change that made that possible?
Hunting.
Okay.
Hunters added a value to an animal that surpassed the value of a stock unit on a normal ranch,
Like a cow or
like a cow or a sheep or a goat.
Okay.
So a farmer has land, farmer has 5,000 hectares. On 5,000 hectares, they can run, let's say, 500 small stock head units,
Yeah.
and they're going to make 10 rand per unit. But if they run those animals, it's only on a percentage of the farm. Whereas if they were to run game and wildlife, they would utilize up to 70% of their own land, and instead of running 500 units, they would be running the equivalent of 1,200. And then, with the hunters coming in and the demand constantly growing over the years, those 1,200 units were paying a farmer far more to dedicate his land back to wildlife, to re-wild it, than it was to hold commercial stock, goat, sheep, cow.
Yeah.
Now, all the land on that farm that generally the farmer couldn't farm because it was on the side of a hill, it was in between rocky outcrops, you couldn't access it. Or between the rocky outcrops, mountain reedbuck
Yes.
adorn the side of the hill. Beautiful, the far river, high up on top. In the plains, in the Karoo, where you could have 100 sheep, you could have 300 springbuck. And they didn't need a fence. So the fences were removed. The properties were rewilded. And the footprint of wildlife on those individual private properties just expanded. And that was the start.
Kind of going back to how it
Correct.
was in some capacity. And
Correct.
I think farmers, and this is going deep into the memory banks, farmers kind of sometimes organize together, right? They become part of a conservancy in an
Correct.
area and agree to not have those fences so that the animals can roam where they want to roam. But
Correct? There's lots of that.
yes, I know in the
Plenty.
Eastern Cape is where I first heard of it.
Yeah, superb. It works like a charm. But there's that old farmer saying, good fences make good neighbors. as long as all of the agreements and all the handshakes are in place beforehand.
Yeah.
You know, that
I've heard stories of. Well,
it can go awry as well. But fortunately, in South Africa, we have big blocks of land,
yes.
and what unites so many of us in the hunting industry is our passion for wildlife, the love of animals, and I think that definitely comes through in most conversations.
So something I wanted to ask you about as well. At what point did that transition from being a PH or a documentarian? Well, at what point did you move to taxidermy? Were you doing taxidermy yourself, or did you see an opportunity to start a business? How did that change happen?
I did not see myself as a taxidermist.
Okay.
It was not a childhood dream. It was not something I'd been taught and grown up in and around the business. My grandfather was one of the old hunters in East Africa and hunted many incredible animals. My uncle had a phenomenal career of almost 50 years as a big game professional hunter.
Wow.
East Africa, or throughout Africa at large. When I moved to South Africa from Zim as a very young child, we moved away from anything that would have been my network. So in South Africa, I was raised in Port Elizabeth, where we are here,
Okay.
and did my best to escape to any farm I could and be with wildlife where I could,
Yes.
but within financial restraints. I didn't go into taxidermy because I saw an opportunity and an angle and a niche. I'm not clever enough for that. I promise you. I certainly wasn't back then. I don't think I am today. I really needed a job.
Yes.
I was passionate about eating at that stage, and I needed a job. So 9/11 happened,
Yes.
and in that moment, my entire year ahead of professional hunting came to a close, because I was the junior in a hunting company. The clients that had been allocated to me to guide were shifted to senior professional hunters because of all the cancellations that happened. There I was left with that KB 240 guzzling diesel Isuzu that really needed a lot of attention, and a hungry Jack Russell, and very little else to my name.
Yeah.
I got approached by a client who was hunting in one of the camps locally. His name's Ben Hayden. Was Ben Hayden. Ben was the foremost reptile taxidermist in the world. He would make a snake look more alive after he'd been working on it than when it was alive. Just the most wonderful gift, absolutely passionate about the art form of taxidermy. Ben needed photographs for a competition. I looked at this and thought, I've still got photographs from when I was in Kenya. I'm going to sell these photographs to this guy, and it's going to pay for this bucky this month. That's as far as my thought process went.
Yeah.
Ben didn't want to pay. I said, oh, bit of a stalemate. He said, how about I teach you how to do taxidermy?
What did you think about that?
Didn't have anything else to do that week. So I spent 5 days and I did a mini taxidermy course with him. We both liked beer, so we had a common ground. And I very successfully turned a beautiful bushbuck into a bush pig over the course of that week, and thought, this is the worst damn thing I've ever done in my life. And I had cuts on my hands from skinning and needles, and it was an absolute nightmare. I felt completely out of my depth. But everything I could see in this bushbuck, I could see the anatomy in it. I knew what it should look like, and when I put something in place, I looked at it and I went, this is wrong. I need it to look like that. I'd looked at animals for so long, and it really frustrated me. And at the end of it, Ben had a very kind, father-like discussion where he asked some personal questions about what's your family say about all this? What's your plan? And it was evident there was no plan, and I didn't have much in the way of family opportunity behind me. My dad wanted me to own, or not even own, work in a fish and chip shop, because then he figured he'd get free fish and chips. He was the most colourful man I'd ever met, but probably the worst businessman you'll ever meet as well. My mum wanted me to get into the courier industry because I really enjoyed driving from a young age. Tractor, bucky, didn't matter, I could drive it. So she thought I should deliver parcels for a living. Get into a job and work your way up, son. So this was completely outside of the realm of the parents' dream. And Ben stepped in and gave me perspective and said, you're young. You clearly know the animals instinctively.
Yes.
There are no young taxidermists in South Africa. None. The taxidermists that run the country are all in a tight knit. No one is challenging them.
Yes.
And he said, don't stop. He said, please don't stop. The Eastern Cape was just sticking its head out and going, we've actually got something here.
Yes.
And it's now the second largest hunting province in the country.
I mean, I understand why. It's
phenomenal.
Incredible.
And the diversity and the biomes, and it's amazing. And that was the start. I then got a job for one taxidermist. That business closed. I moved on to another taxidermist, developed it in a managerial position.
Okay.
And I realized that if I was going to pursue this, I needed the threat of failure.
It's a powerful thing.
And I got it in bucket loads. And then moved across and developed, started up Splitting Image Taxidermy. There was certainly road bumps and potholes along the way, but you just keep aiming north and just keep going.
So was there a moment where it sounds like when you started, it was like, this is just a fun thing to do for a week and it could be a possibility, but it's not your passion. Can you remember a moment when you realized this is something that you're really passionate about? Because you clearly are very passionate about it now.
I think the passion has come at a later stage, when I realized the impact that this industry can have on people's lives. That's where my passion went through the roof. Because I saw people with just these incredible skills, just this inborn ability to create beautiful things. Guys who could skin an animal in the dead of night with, a candle, and they'd skin out the eyelids perfectly. It was like they did it with respect and with honor, and they were proud of what they did. And I was part of that, and being part of that journey gave me the passion to pursue this canvas, the wildlife canvas, and the art form. I think that was the moment.
Okay.
The when it happened,
Yeah, there wasn't a specific
it
moment.
wasn't a specific moment. Of the original 6 staff members that started with me in Splitting Image Taxidermy, 4 of them are still here today, and their children
Wow.
are still here. And Mike Farkley is one of the guys. I've spoken about him in many discussions before. He's a man I have unbelievable respect for. He was the first man who ever joined me in work. He was skinner, tracker, driver. He now works in the dip and pack raw processing operation at a very high level.
Okay.
His son is one of the lead taxidermy artists in the company. It's phenomenal.
Amazing.
The next guy that came on was a guy by the name of Lizo Mbeda, Pox. Pox's son, Mula, is one of the lead taxidermists here now, and Pox is still working here, creating beautiful bases, habitats, rocks, and has grown in his own right. These people have homes and cars and retirement policies. They have a future.
Yes.
And when the job comes to an end one day, they're not going to be left without income or means. And that just keeps fueling that passion for the industry.
I think there's also psychologically a self-esteem that comes from being talented at something, but then also what really cements that realization is when you are able to share that skill set to someone else and then see the other, like you said, generationally.
Just passes on.
See that skill set extend on and on and on, which I think is a pretty powerful thing.
Yeah, it's radical, huh? It's very cool.
But something I was curious about then, and I don't know if this is something you know much about, but it's an area that I hope will be interesting to talk about, is I'm curious about historically taxidermy, where that came from, why it started, and then maybe where it's going, and maybe some of the complications that could be happening right now. But, I mean, something that I thought was really interesting is the Hadza people in, I think, Tanzania.
Tanzania.
I have a friend who's been on the podcast, Joel van der Loon, and he spends a lot of time over there, and it's incredible the footage he has and the experiences and the conversations he has with the Hadza people. But I noticed in some of the footage there that, I mean, these people are hunting every day. They're kind of never without a bow and arrow or some kind of tool to provide food. But they also always have with them a hide or some kind of skull or some kind of piece of pride of a hunt that was successful for them.
Correct.
And that, I wonder if maybe possibly is that the beginning of where taxidermy started?
Hard to say. I think certainly not modern day taxidermy.
Yes.
I think from a cultural perspective, the Hadza help me again.
Hadza.
I can never pronounce it.
Yeah,
Sorry. Hadza. The Hadza people would have taken the skin, and it was a practical use. It showed status in their culture. A child might have a duiker skin, whereas one of the elders had a leopard.
Yes.
Because it showed status in cultural terms. The keeping of a skull, it could be their first kill and something that they look back with respect at. They are honoring the animal because they believe that the gods of wildlife will bless you abundantly if you respect what you take. If you just take, you won't get. You have to offer respect.
Yes.
So I think there's possibly a lot of that to be considered. More modern times, pioneers who would go and travel on ships and voyages would discover these wonderful creatures.
Yes.
And they'd take one of these creatures back and they'd take them back to first world countries and dissect them and make notes and taxonomical notes and all the rest. And at the end of it, you were left with a skin. And there was always going to be that one quirky guy who said, well, I'll put it back together again. That's the kid who takes the clock apart because he wants to see how it works.
Yes.
But the joy is putting it back together again, and it works again.
Yeah, I was never the one who could put it back together.
No, I did taking apart, but put it back together.
They got me in trouble.
Well, the taxidermy, we put it back together. That's what we do efficiently now.
I'm going to interrupt this episode for just 1 second. If you were enjoying this episode and if you're enjoying the podcast as a whole, it would be fantastic if you could make sure that you are following or subscribed. And that means that you will always be up to date with any episodes that are coming along. And then also, it really goes a long way if you could give a 5-star review. It really helps with the algorithms. It means that lots of people who enjoy outdoorsy stuff like you and I can find this podcast. Right, back to Doug.
So yeah, it's grown over the years. Taxidermy's changed, it's evolved. There used to be these, they used to work off an armature and then tie hessian around it to try and get some semblance of a shape, and then the skins would be tanned using rudimentary chemicals and tannins, and the skin would get wrapped around it and marble stuck in the eye.
Yes.
And it really is the stuff that nightmares are made of. But if I could find pieces that were done like that today,
Yes.
today they're collector's items.
Right.
Because
The ones that kind of look a bit weird.
but if you can show that it's an old, if it's old technology, it's the old armature and the wrapping and all the rest. Today it's worth something. Everything that gets old ends up being worth something.
Of course.
Eventually.
Do you ever try and collect those pieces?
If I find them,
Okay,
and they're
yeah.
able to be restored, and there's a good story attached to them, then yes.
Okay.
But there'd have to be a story, and I think I'm very big on the story behind the product, story behind the hunt, story behind the experience. I often would say to people who are designing a showroom, look at taxidermy as the prop to telling an incredible story. From where your favorite seat is, where you're sitting, you must be able to sit with someone who's never been there and say to them, when I went on that hunt, that was an incredible experience. It's a beautiful zebra, but I must tell you the story about this,
Yes.
because that's what makes this particular animal special. It's the story, in my opinion.
So where is the disconnect in the three categories of people that you mentioned at the beginning of our conversation?
Hunter,
How do you-
non-hunter, anti-hunter.
Exactly. How do you... I think anti-hunters, it's very difficult for them to see the story,
Correct?
and I think potentially the ambivalent people in the middle, it's also a little difficult for them to maybe assume there's a story, maybe because they don't have the context of hunting.
They might not have the context, they might not just want, some of them just don't want to be involved in that sort of conversation. They're conflict avoidant.
Right.
I'd rather stick my head in the soil.
Yeah.
You want to hunt, you hunt. Me, I don't want to hunt.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
they're going to go to Woolworths, they're going to buy that steak.
That's the thing I wrestle with as well.
Enjoy that steak.
Yeah.
Me, I'll shoot off the farm, process the meat. Done. I have 3 daughters. My daughters all know the layout of the inside of an animal. Why? Because when we've hunted an impala, they're there skinning it with me. They skin it, and we lay it out. There's the liver, there's the heart. That's how it works. So they understand. So when they pick up a knife and fork and enjoy a meal, they know where it came from. We don't waste. I don't believe in waste. I do not believe that you shoot something for the sake of shooting it.
I agree.
You hunt, and you can take a story, a memento of your story away as a beautiful piece of taxidermy, and the meat you can share with people, and you can feed your family.
Yes.
And you
tell
can
the
try
story.
different recipes around in your kitchen.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna make a curry out of this. Now let's delve into different kinds of curries, but we're gonna bring it in with some kuru or some springbuck. And that springbuck we hunted in the Karoo. Funny, as far away from curry as you're gonna find,
But it works.
but it works. So
Yeah.
you find that mashup.
I definitely think there is an element of food tastes better when you've been on the journey
Oh yeah,
as part of the process.
For sure.
And I think that that even continues, and it must be what our predecessors must have experienced. The more involved you are in that process, the closer you are. But also, even people who are making their own weapons, say bows and arrows and those sorts of things, as you're integrated in that process more and more, there's just more power, I think.
but
Which
we were like that as kids. We started like that as kids. Just think about it. A child gets into the kitchen and they cook something, and you're looking at this and you're going, vinegar, marshmallows, mayonnaise, and curry powder. This is going to end badly. But when the child's finished this creation, I promise you they're going to eat it.
yeah, and they're going to love it.
And they're going to love it, and they're going to celebrate it. And if they make, I mean, my best catapult as a child was the ones I made, because I found that branch in a tree. It had the perfect Y and the perfect shape. And the rubber that I got, it wasn't purchased, it was stolen. Because I stole that tire out of my dad's workshop and I cut it up using my mum's scissors. But that one would shoot marbles the best. And we'd hunt birds with it and target practice. But if you look back at it, the stick was probably skew and everything was wrong with it. But how much joy did we get from it?
Oh, absolutely.
We were part of the story.
Yes.
And as grown-ups, what do? The same thing.
Yeah.
And the era we live in at the moment where everything is customizable, it speaks back to that childhood need to create. I'm just lucky I get to do it every day.
Yeah.
We create, we tell stories, we put these beautiful animals on a wall in a place of pride where we can honor the hunt, honor the animal, create the value, and so it carries on.
So, something I wanted to ask you about, I kind of set up, we've done the past and we've kind of done the present, and there's elements, I've seen elements of the future. There are complications in some ways.
Challenges.
And I don't claim to know everything about this, and I'm sure you can inform me more, but there are significant impacts on the taxidermy industry when importation rules change in other countries, and which means that people can't bring their animals back. They can't bring their stories with them. I think there are some interesting ways of solving those problems that seem to be happening
Absolutely.
now. So maybe you can tell me a bit about that.
So let's go to direct technology.
Okay.
So the whole 3D printing realm of where we find ourselves. 3D printers have evolved immensely over the last 5 years. So it's not even a long period. In the last 5 years, the beds of the printers have increased in size. So you can print bigger projects, and the cost has come down. The first 3D printers were incredibly expensive, and they were small. If you wanted to get a really big 3D printer, you were in it for millions.
Wow.
So it was awesome technology, but we just didn't have the right. It wasn't accessible. Didn't have the right price mark. Today, printers have evolved. It's quite incredible what you can create with a 3D printer, and then you've got 3D scanners. So our sculpting is now a mix-up of the articulation of a skeleton, so to create the perfect mannequin.
Yes.
And there's a lot of taxidermists who it's almost clandestine. They don't want to give away their secrets. If you want to find the secret to anything, just go to YouTube.
Top tip, you heard it here.
Go to YouTube. Because you're going to find the secrets there. It's all there.
Yeah.
The how-tos, the where-tos, the what, it's all there.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you our secret. Create the skeleton. Because the proportions of the skeleton inside an animal are correct.
Yes.
Once you've created the skeleton, add on the musculature, the muscle. Know how the muscles layer. Now you've got to be a bit sharper to do that. Okay? It's not just let's pack clay on until it's got a shape. Actually understand why that muscle's there.
The anatomy.
The anatomy. Because if you get the why is the muscle there right, when you put the skin on eventually, it will fit. T-shirt, shirt?
Yes.
There's a reason that the sleeve comes out of the shoulder. It does not come out of the rib cage. You'd look like a fruitcake. It would be, just get it right. Same thing with a mannequin. So we take the skeleton, put on the musculature, refine that. Then you 3D scan it.
Interesting.
And you take that file and you can manipulate the file digitally. Because there are guys that can't sculpt with clay, but man, they can sculpt on a computer in a world that I don't necessarily understand. And they can take a left turn and they can flip the file and suddenly it's looking to the right. And the anatomy is identical.
Wow.
Then you can make, I think the term is a maquette, a small version.
Yes.
You print it, you refine that in tiny detail. 3D scan that, implode back up, and the detail magnifies. Then you turn on and say, well, I want to make a mold of that. I like what I've created. So you break it down into pieces the size of the bed of the printer that you've got.
Yes.
And you print those pieces and you put it back together like Lego. Once you've done that, you refine all the seams, all the joints. You make a mold of that. You pour it with a 2-part foam, which is light, durable, and dense. And you've got an original mannequin. It's easy, see?
I mean, it's fascinating to actually hear how this process works.
It's evolved.
Yeah, it's so curious. I wonder, has the actual tanning you mentioned before about old tanning techniques?
Yes.
How has that changed?
Immensely. That in actual fact, I think is one of the best changes for taxidermy globally. So let's come to Africa. In Africa, we didn't have access to the chemicals that you found on an international platform. So, as South Africans and Africans do, we make a plan. We figure it out. We're going to find something that tans it.
Yeah.
Might not be right, but we're going to try. So you'll find taxidermy of old that came out of Africa. The skin's cracked. There was not much stretch. Very little detail and anatomy in the mount. They look terrible.
Yes.
With time and imports and exports and availability of varying chemicals, the different chemicals required in tanning a skin to
Yes.
make that skin soft and pliable and give it stretch. South Africa now has access to those, and we've gone one step further, and we've refined those chemicals to suit our skins. So now we know how to extract more oil. We know how to leave in certain factors in the skin that we want to give us a better stretch. Aluminium sulfate is one of the key components.
Okay.
There are chemicals you can import. You can get locally produced chemicals. Either which way, we're getting a better tan for our species. It means that we also don't necessarily have the experience that the American taxidermist or tanner would have with one of their species.
Yes.
They are used to that species.
Right.
I'm used to a zebra.
Yes. I can imagine, I've heard stories from people where they want to bring their animals over to the US, but then the US taxidermists are dealing with a completely different animal, literally. So then it's just different challenges, right? Like it's a
Different
different
challenges.
thing.
The US taxidermist has led the way for many years. I have incredible respect for every artist that's out there. Painter, sculptor, brick mason. It's a craft.
Yes.
I respect it.
Yeah.
The American taxidermists have led the way for a long time and have done some spectacular animal artistry. They're just beautiful. They've pushed the boundaries. They understand the anatomy. There's just some unbelievable artists out there.
I think it also shows that you've come from a place of artistry from the beginning, and that
Yeah.
is reflected in everything that's done here.
We love the canvas. You know?
Yeah.
It's not about, I don't like that artist because he's better than I am.
Yeah.
I look at it and go, wow, how'd you do that? There's something there. That's special. Gee, I missed that. You know?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's respect for the animal. That's our goal.
So,
The Americans
yeah.
have got some amazing artists. Guys that I, to this day, look up to and go, that guy's got it.
Yes.
But for the first time in many, many years, the artwork coming out of South Africa is neck on neck.
Yes.
And
yeah.
there's some unbelievable artists coming out of Africa.
Is anyone getting poached from Africa to come over to America yet? Because I can imagine that will happen at some point.
It could happen,
Yeah.
but I think once Africa's in your blood,
Yeah,
to
no,
the
it's
blood.
true. It's a big thing to make that move, that's for sure. I've
very difficult.
made some moving continents is a big choice.
it's a big thing.
So something I'm curious, because it's fascinating hearing about the modern technological approach. How are we doing for time?
Oh, we're good.
We're good for time. There is a group of people who, survivalists in a way, people who I've interviewed many of in my podcast, and something that they really take pleasure in is actually doing tanning and that whole process in the natural way, like be it brain tanning or using tannins from trees. Do you ever have any clients come to you and ask for you to tan something using the brain of an animal that they've brought in, or you haven't had that?
No.
I can imagine that would be an interesting challenge.
It's a time-sensitive challenge
Yes.
because it must be done on a wet skin that's just been skinned.
Oh, okay.
It's not something that Yeah, there's time-sensitive product involved.
It's not like you can add salt to the skin and do the things.
You can delay it, and salt being one of the most important additives to a hunt.
Yes.
Done.
Yeah.
Without salt, I would say rather don't,
Yes.
because you're not going to be able to preserve the skin, which, in my opinion, is disrespecting the animal. If that's just discarded for the sake of shooting it, unless you're hunting that animal specifically for the purpose of meat
Yes.
and eating.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of methodology around tanning, but we tend to stick to what we're really good at.
Of course, yeah.
And it's the purpose of taxidermy and the animal artistry that we provide.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. So let's see where else we can go now. I was curious then, something, and it's just an area, I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with this question, but it's something which I was just curious about, because I always like to hear the back story of how things work. It's about ethics and taxidermy and everyone's own idea about what is a celebration of an animal. Have there ever been points where your own, being a service provider, your own principles of what you feel is correct or aesthetically the right way to celebrate an animal versus what someone might want you to execute?
Yes,
Do you have any stories you'd be prepared to share?
absolutely. I don't believe that you should make a mockery of an animal.
Right.
Done.
Yeah.
Don't make a mockery. That is the dividing line. If you're doing it as an art piece, show the art piece, understand that you've been given the opportunity to respect the animal. But if you're going to make a mockery of an animal,
In what
Don't do it.
context? I mean, I don't know if you can think of one, but not to put you on the spot.
we've done several over the years, and the decision every time has been based upon the story or the environment. Inevitably, a baboon is going to be is a fine line. That's the species.
It is, right.
That's the species.
Yeah.
If you want me to put a lion on a chair with his legs crossed, smoking a cigar, I can do it. No problem. I won't.
No.
I'm out. But if you said to me, would you mind putting a baboon in a pose that is holding a tray?
Yes.
Yeah, I can see the humor in it.
Okay.
But I'm not going to do it with a lion.
No. And I think I understand potentially why. And it's interesting because I've been in a large taxidermy, someone's, I guess it was almost like a warehouse, but there was a baboon there that was sat on a bar, and the context of it was a little different from how you would imagine the baboon would behave normally.
Correct.
But it's the baboon, you're right, is the thing.
It gets it. They just happen to be the target.
But I can maybe in a way understand why, because the number of times I've been looking through my binoculars, and I'll probably should be looking for game because that's what I'm there to pursue. But the amount of times I'm watching a baboon sat on a rock, the characteristics are so, I mean, I don't want to say human because that's just trying to,
They're so familiar.
so familiar, and they're scratching and they're daydreaming, getting distracted, or
And they're comical.
they are. They
They
are.
comical.
Yeah.
So they do tend to be the butt of a joke or two. To many a ranch owner, they're a vermin and they cause tremendous damage. I think it's very much up to the individual. I know a couple of purists that won't do any non-animalist animal sort of poses. But then, by the same token, we spoke earlier about where taxidermy originated from and the pioneers traveling. Everyone at some stage would have seen those images of the mice in a top hat with a walking cane and you know, the tails, the coattails, and all the rest. And you got these mice, and then then sitting playing cards, and mice or mongoose or whatever they were.
So that was something people were creating, was it?
So that was something that was done by these quirky scientists
Really?
over 100 years ago.
Okay.
It was almost like a. It wasn't frowned upon. It was almost expected that you had these eccentric artists that had discovered this new squirrel, and they put it in a top hat. So it's been happening for hundreds of years. This is not new.
Yeah.
Was it done badly? Absolutely. Today, it's done artistically. But again, it's beauty's in the eye of the beholder. If that works for you, if you walk around the studio here, you'll see that there's very little of that.
Yeah, I know, absolutely.
There's very, very little. But I have, on the other hand, seen a couple of pieces where the animal has been used as the canvas and it's been done tastefully and respectfully. The artist, I can also look through the skin and go, I can see the art form. I can see the sculpture. I can see the technology. I get it. Those anti-hunters we were talking about, that's just ammunition for them to say, you disrespect the animal, you killers.
I mean, another thing that I've learned along my travels, having conversations, being lucky enough to have conversations with many incredible people, is I've lost my train of thought now.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, my ADHD brain is kicking
There we
in
go.
now. So I think I remember what I was going to
Yeah.
say. It was about like my personal experience is that, and I think actually that may have delayed my reaching out to you to have this conversation, because I've been on a journey myself.
Yes.
In maybe where my position is, figuring that out with regards to taxidermy and hunting. I mean, I'm a hunter. I'm a relatively new hunter. I've maybe only been hunting, I mean, if it counts, being in England, running around with an air rifle, shooting at pigeons and
hunting.
eating them, you know, back in the day. But I only really started pursuing big game in the last 7 years.
Yeah.
And I think my needle was a little more in the middle towards the hunting in terms of my opinion of conservation and that story. And I don't know why, maybe because I'm a cynical Brit. It happens.
It does.
But I think that when people tell me, for instance, when Dylan was telling me in a conversation 2 years ago that hunting is a valuable tool and it is the source of what is preserving these animals and we are caretakers, I understand what he's saying, and I understood that, but there was a tiny question mark in my brain, a need to find out more information. And obviously I'm still learning and still having...
It's a curiosity.
But I do feel like now I'm really understanding more the reality of the world that we're living in, and the fact that when systems work in a different way, I mean the US, for instance, works very
Incredibly
well.
well.
And that's a completely different system.
Leaders in the conservation field.
Right. But there are other countries, I mean, I wonder if there's other African countries where conservation has taken a dive because of choices. And obviously you don't want to throw anyone under the bus.
Kenya, look at it. They stopped hunting in Kenya.
They banned it.
Well, there we go.
Okay.
And what happened?
Well, I'm guessing all the PHs left.
Yeah, and the animal numbers?
And why was that?
Because there's no more value to the animal. So they'd go back to traditional farming. And the locals weren't incentivized to look after the animals. So they hunted them, poached them, killed them.
Because they don't want to see them on their land.
Bushmeat. Done. No more value. If you get more value from working in the hunting camp than you do from poaching them and eating them, you're going to go and work in the hunting camp. And these people have such intimate knowledge of wildlife. So valuable. But at the end of the day, they want to feed their families. You hunt an elephant, that meat goes to families, real hungry people that live millimeters above the poverty line, many of them below it. And unfortunately, the anti-hunting groups that are out there that have fantastic computers and free Wi-Fi and, sit in coffee shops, they've got no idea what it's like not to have food. None. Yet they'll shoot off the attacking, scathing emails and comments on these social media platforms. Interesting.
It's interesting, and it's a difficult situation, right? I mean, have you personally, I'm sure, building such a successful business?
I'm taking my punches.
Yeah, so I mean, are there any stories or situations where people, you've had these kind of interactions? I don't know if any of them would even be interesting, but it's a difficult thing. How do you navigate that? Or are there any cases where you had to navigate that?
I've always looked at it and said, are they anti-hunter or non-hunter?
Okay.
Has the comment been made from a place of curiosity or a place of ignorance or a place of disrespect? I'm happy to be involved in the educational process for someone who truly doesn't understand. And you can generally pick up if there's a willingness to understand and engage. But if it comes from an aggressive place where they merely want their voice heard from the soapbox, you're not going to change it.
No, you're not.
So don't lose sleep over it.
No.
Don't engage with it. But my message to the hunting industry has always been, don't give them ammunition.
So
when
how
you
does
take
that
a
work?
photograph of an animal that you've hunted, do it with respect. Done. What you leave on social media stays there forever, and it moves, and you can't control it. It's viral. So, as a hunter, make sure that you present the correct narrative. Make sure that what you do is done respectfully. If you're going to document it, document the why
Yes.
without the glamour. You don't need to put out sensational, violent videos of how you stabbed a springbuck in the head 8 times with a Swiss Army knife. That's not hunting. That's clickbait.
Yes.
You're in the wrong game. You go sit in your computer and go and play TV games. You're wearing a very simple watch. We had a discussion about it earlier.
Yeah.
Beauty of hunting. Take all of that away. Strip it away. It's authentic. It's real. You're in touch with nature. You're in touch with the ground. Done.
I mentioned this before, but there's a book that I just became aware of. I'm hoping the author has no idea that I'm going to approach them yet.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but it's a book called Hunter in a Farmer's World.
Sounds interesting.
And it's about different personality types and the fact that societally there are certain individuals who are just come from hunting ancestry in a way. And I feel like I am one of those people because ever since I was a kid, I was looking at animals, I'm just drawn to
it. It's natural.
Drawn to that. And it just, I think it's interesting to think about how society isn't built around celebrating that so much. And I think maybe that's where the conflict comes because of that. Like you said, the lack of exposure to the realities of life, right?
Look, we can go down hours of this, to be honest.
Yeah.
I will say that since 2020, and leave this with you to ruminate on, since 2020, the number of hunters has exploded globally because people have realized the value of outdoor, authentic free time.
Yes.
Hunters go where the masses don't. They go where it's quiet. They go where it's disconnected. Because we spend our lives connected to phones and watches and computers. And we're being tracked everywhere.
Yes.
Hunting, you go to the outlying areas that are underutilized and you bring value into those areas. And as a result, wildlife is prospering.
Yeah. Which means more
Wild
people
areas are prospering. We've got more rewilded areas today than we've ever had. It's phenomenal
Yeah.
what hunting has done for wildlife and environmental change.
It's also the driver, but for me, I mean, for instance, I was just been hunting for 10 days using a recurve bow, which is, I will contest, incredibly difficult.
Very hard.
Walk and stalk. I managed to take one warthog successfully.
Fantastic.
But thank you. The thing that's most enjoyable about the process, it's not the act of taking the life of an animal and the meat that you get for that necessarily. I mean, that's obviously an important part, but it's the excuse to be out there and to be in places where other people aren't going to be going.
Correct.
At times that they're not necessarily going to be experiencing, and I'm exhausted, I have to say.
A bit of hardship. It's good.
Yeah. It adds value.
It adds value. What's that saying? Soft times don't make hard men.
Right, exactly.
So a bit of hardship. Getting back and realizing that your socks have got a life of their own and you've got to put them on again the next day. That it's primal.
Yeah.
And you're getting back to basics.
Yeah.
And when you come out of that and go back into society, you're a better person for it. You're able to be yourself
It's true.
and appreciate the things that you certainly would not have appreciated the week before.
The number of times I get out into the bush and in the absolute essence of my soul, I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be.
It's awesome.
This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Exactly.
It's a powerful thing.
It is. It is. You've got to keep spreading the good words about it.
Yes.
Having great conversations like this. One of the reasons that we've, within the company, we've always opened the doors and said, anyone who wants to talk, let's talk. Let's spread positive. Let's acknowledge the good. Let's face the bad. Where it's negative, let's improve on it.
Yes.
But face it.
Admit that there can be
Admit it.
negatives and
Yes.
to be improved.
And then let's work towards not doing that and doing that. But let's make it factually based. This is not a
Yes.
Disney movie. Okay? Let's get away from that whole narrative
Yeah.
and go back to what hunting responsibly is all about.
Yes. Amen to that. Doug, thank you for
Pleasure.
sharing your time today. It's been amazing picking your brains and hearing
Anytime.
your stories.
I love it.
Is there anywhere that you want to send people today as an opportunity, your little soapbox moment, if you want to send people to social or anything else that might inspire people, then any suggestions?
Look, Splitting Image Taxidermy is it's a wonderful business. It's a very special place where creativity meets. I cannot celebrate the people in this business enough. The artists, the craftsmen, the dreamers, the designers. We've got them all. I think the work we do speaks volumes for our passion in the industry and what we do. Those that are interested in Splitting Image Taxidermy know where to find us. Social media we've got great social media presence. I appreciate being part of your journey. I appreciate being part of what you do. And that's good enough.
Great. Well,
Cool.
thanks again.
Appreciate it. Magic.
Alrighty. Thank you, guys.
Did that work?
So good. Thank you.
Cool, Rube.
Perfect.
Easy.
That was fun.
Right. That's another episode in the bag. Fully prepped and mounted and ready for display to be eternalized and remembered forever. A huge thank you to Doug and his team. It was fantastic talking to you and learning more about this whole area. It's something that I've been fascinated by for a long time. And it was, once again, another moment, another opportunity to expand my knowledge. So thank you for setting up the incredible space that we got to record this in. And yeah, sharing your time, because I know you've got a busy schedule. I have put a bunch of links down in the show notes for anyone who's listening. If you enjoyed this conversation or you want to learn more about taxidermy, if you want to reach out to Splitting Image, then all the links are down there. You can see the amazing stuff that they do. Once again, if you're enjoying this podcast, it would be amazing if you can give us a follow, subscribe, however you like to listen. Some people are on YouTube now. It would be amazing if you can do that. And then also give us a 5-star review. It really does help with the algorithms and gives me a bit of an ego boost too. Let's be honest. Right, that's all for now. Thanks for listening. And until next time.
Welcome to the Wild Dispatch.